Average is comfortable. And I have nothing against a judgment factor. It's just where everyone else lies to give us a bar to go over. So I ask the financial wholesalers to ask themselves what progressive thought in their business unit gets them uncomfortable to grow towards.
Okay, that's
great. The first sign of having the need for a growth mindset.
What separates the best financial wholesalers from the average ones? The average often say it's their talent or market timing, or they have a better territory. The best understand it's something far less glamorous and far more demanding. Over time, that difference compounds. The average stayed busy, the best become, well, the best. Today, Darren Baca from DCB Strategies joins me to unpack the simple but powerful framework he used to build his successful 40-year career as a financial wholesaler. 3 words: decide, commit, become. Welcome to the Financial Wholesaler Podcast, conversations about meetings that matter.
Decide, commit, become. There's 3 segments here. And in each one of the segments, there's 3 elements. And it has to do with either if you want to have an achievement of a professional goal or a personal goal.
Right.
But this is about a bold goal. It's not about priorities that you need to actually get things done towards your goal. So a bold goal. So think of a bold goal. Decide about a bold goal. And how often does our audience really decide on a bold goal professionally or personally? Something that means when they decide, it's out of the comfort zone. So when you know you're out of the comfort zone, that's the first signal you are deciding upon a bold goal to achieve.
Yeah.
Get out of the comfort zone. So the point is, the elements of decide, again, decide is all about the mindset. There are 3 elements within the decide construct. So when you take a look at the first part of decide, it's about making sure you have a choice between a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. Mm-hmm. You must have the state of mind that supports a growth mindset. That's element number 1 underneath decide.
Yeah.
What does growth mindset mean? It means you're excited to grow. You don't mind getting out of a comfort zone. You look forward to challenges to change your ways. You don't have excuses. You adjust. You're open-minded to this as opposed to being obstacle-oriented. You can't do this because. That's obstacle-oriented. What I have found in coaching is that people have obstacle illusions. When they really think about them, they're putting themselves in a fixed mindset that doesn't get them out of the way of thinking the way through it and moving forward. So a growth mindset is all about progressive way of thinking. Our brain works in 2 ways. Progressive way, we call it deliberate way of thinking, and default way of thinking. The progressive part of our brain is called the deliberate way of thinking, really getting out of the box and moving towards progress. The default way of thinking is about the comfort zone. Just stay here, hang out, rest, be safe. That's fine. It's important. The comfort zone is important for that, but it doesn't allow you to achieve a growth mindset to move forward.
Right.
So growth mindset is the first element of decide.
So as a financial wholesaler listening into this, though, how do they discern what mindset they're in? Because it's subjective at this point. Like a big goal or a bold goal to me may feel really small to you because of your experience if you try to put that on you. How do we discern in our own process if I'm living with a bold goal or a progressive mindset, if I'm in more of the safe, keeping it small and playing it safe mode? How do you do that as a financial wholesaler?
Well, as a financial wholesaler, you look at what everyone else is doing. Therein lies what everyone else is doing in general is the average. Mm-hmm. And what the average have an uncomfortable ability to do is say, okay, I want to increase my money raise in the next 6 months by 2-fold. Okay, whoa, the average don't think that way. Or I want to develop a private wealth village where 80% of my business comes from private wealth teams. Okay, the average doesn't think that way. Or I want to be the number 1 person at our firm or the top 5% performers at our firm. Never been there before. How do I do it? So again, just by stating those things, those are uncomfortable because they're not normal. They're not average. Average is comfortable. And I have nothing against a judgment factor. It's just where everyone else lies to give us a bar to go over. So I ask the financial wholesalers to ask themselves what progressive thought in their business unit gets them uncomfortable to grow towards.
Okay,
that's the first sign of having the need for a growth mindset. Because once you get to that point, you got to be kind of excited about it. And willing to accept what's in front of you and willing to do the hard work when no one else is looking. to willing to believe in yourself to get that done. There's a lot involved in the growth mindset.
Right. And I would just say this before we move on. If you're in a spot as a financial wholesaler in your professional career where you feel like you've plateaued and you're kind of in this looping pattern year over year, this may be a time also to just step back and bring in a mentor or a coach to give you some outside input to maybe help you start turning your head and looking into new territory that perhaps you're not able to see yourself.
Thanks for saying that, because I ask everyone that I have a privilege of coaching is that when you get into that space, which is normal, okay, remember the 3 R's. Reassess where you are by just getting a blank piece of paper, reassess and write everything else where you are and what you want to do better. Not what you don't want to do again, but what you want to do better. Restate what you're going to do it better, and then start doing it by reactivating.
Sure.
So reassess where you are and where you're going and what you want to do better. Restate and reactivate.
Yeah.
That really that unleashes the growth mindset, because it shows on paper what you are willing to do and willing to accept and sacrifice to get to a larger level of performance from your own mind regarding your bold goal.
Sure, that's really good. So growth mindset, a bold goal. What's next?
Well, when you're ready to go, when you're revved up the engine, the growth mindset, you better have something that feeds that fuel. It's called purpose. Have a purpose on why you're doing this. Not a need, like I need to make money, okay? A purpose, something meaningful, personal to you, a chip on your shoulder you want to get off, or proof to your family, or something you're doing for your own inner self that you've been, this is a very good proof opportunity for you to build through and prove to yourself, not any others, but to yourself, why this is important. So when you're going to have a bold goal in front of you, there needs to be a purpose on why you're achieving this. Because you definitely in your heart always wanted to be number one in your firm, or you definitely in your heart wanted to have this kind of level of performance and activity of revenue, bringing revenue in and so forth. So purpose is powerful. It feeds the fuel to keep that mindset in a growth mode.
Yeah, that's great. You're talking about a type of purpose that's deeper than an external sense of purpose, because I hear you saying it's not just about your sales goals or making an amount of money or arriving to a certain rank in your professional journey, but you're saying attach it to something deeper that I'm hearing you say more intrinsically motivated. It's this deeper sense of the why or the purpose of what you're doing. And I agree with you, because there's a point where the pain is going to become so difficult, we're going to see it as suffering. And suffering will be seen as punishment in our lives when it's attached to something outside. But when it's connected to the deepest place in me, it's actually seen as sacrifice. Yeah. I'm willing to pay this cost of pain because it's worth it to me. It's attached to something really deep. And I hear you saying that. Is that what you're getting at? Like find a deeper purpose there?
Yeah, have a purpose, a deeper purpose that gets you a step forward, a step higher than where you were. And you define it, whether it's personal and so forth. You define it any which way. But our audience today, they have a purpose. But they don't have a growth mindset in front of them to open up and look at what the purpose may be. So be frank with yourself. Because as you said so well, the pain of discipline, of getting through that, the work, is so much better and so much more fruitful than the pain of regret of never getting it done.
Right.
And the purpose really feeds the fuel to get through a discipline, create routine, to create new habits and move forward. Yeah. So purpose is powerful.
Yeah, and in the professional world, there's no shortage of voices shouting at us what our purpose should be. Right? Totally. Our bosses, right. The career path we're on says this is what success looks like. And there is a level of we get our purpose from other voices. Absolutely. But there's work we can do that if we sit alone long enough to hear what do we want, what is our purpose, I think what we find is the deepest connection to purpose that allows us to pay the biggest price.
I ask the clients I work with, I ask them what's their purpose of getting this goal achieved. And they say, I'm grateful for my family, my support system. Yeah. And I can't let them down. That's an example. Exactly. That's a meaningful purpose. That'll drive anybody through a wall. You know what I mean? In a good way. When when you're grateful about things that support you and people that support you, therein lies already a purpose to make sure that you know why you're there to get things done, even at a higher level.
Yeah, that's good. All right, so the next one, there's 3 in this category of decide. What's the third one?
Yeah, so we had start with an open mindset, growth mindset, then we have a purpose, and then we have something that people don't think about a lot, but the brain is very powerful in how it makes you how it holds yourself accountable to what you want to achieve. So there's 3 ways people talk to themselves. I call it future focus, present focus, and past focus. So when you're when you're getting involved with a goal, or you have something that you are going to achieve, for give you an example of the future focus. People live in a future focus by saying, I will get to that. I need to do that. This is something on my calendar for me in the future. Politely, I'm going to share with you that's a crutch.
Right.
Because it's just putting everything in the future. If it's a bold goal, you don't put it in the future. You put it right now because it's supposed to be activated on right now. Your brain is not going to hold you accountable by putting it in the future. The other way of thinking about it is past focus. Past focus is, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. I've always done it this way, and I'm going to do it like I did in the past.
Right.
Well, if you've always done it that way, you're going to always get the same results, which is not the results you're looking for with this bold goal. So past focus and future focus are really not the focuses you need to have to achieve your bold goal. It just doesn't work. So what I ask people to do, put themselves in a present focus. It automatically puts your brain into a deliberate way of thinking, thus progress mode. It's all about starting everything with I am. I am achieving this goal. I am becoming the top wholesaler in our firm. Or I am the top wholesaler in our firm. I am developing a private wealth village for my business. I am progressing my craft starting today. I am making 10 of the largest prospecting calls today. So you just put this I am. And I ask the audience today, put I am in front of every sentence today, starting going forward about things you want to do. Put it in present tense, present focus, I am. And see how hard it is. Because our brain is in this comfort zone, which is about future and past focus.
And it's dangerous.
And put yourself in the I am zone. It's hard to do because your brain isn't used to it. But when you say I am having a great recording today with Mitch at ESA. I mean, I'm accountable to making sure what we're doing.
Well, and it's dangerous. What I was saying there is, you're right. It's language that's important. And if we're willing to have the courage to make those statements, then it's better work in our goal setting. I agree with you in how we define. But what it is it's dangerous because the minute I say I am, I'm putting myself on the hook. But when I put myself on the hook, I'm now accountable for the things I say. And I am throws me into that space. So it is easier to say I will, or I coulda, shoulda, woulda, but the I am really centers it in and I think gets us to doing better work. Now, talk to us about how a financial wholesaler would do this, because a lot of times, we're obviously setting appointments for our clients, trying to get them meetings that matter on their calendar. So we're in conversations with them, whether it's at the beginning of the year or on a quarterly basis. We're having these strategic conversations, and often that'll start with, here's where I'm going. Here's what I'm willing to do by the end of the year. So it starts with the future
vision
in mind.
Yeah.
But then they need to break it down into smaller or more clarifying I am statements. That's what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with the example that you just gave, a wholesaler working with ESA and scheduling, I am setting up a calendar that's very successful. Mm-hmm. I am partnering with ESA to make my efficiency very successful.
Sure.
Now, when you say that to yourself, you are accountable to work with your partner, your scheduling partner. And so the I am really puts you in versus I need to work with this person, or I should work with this person, or I could have worked with this person. I am is very strong. Mm-hmm. It's really, who do we talk to the most during the day? I ask people, who do you talk to the most during the day? And you talk to yourself. So when you have this I am mentality and this I am phrase towards your biggest goal, your top 3 goals during that quarter, I ams are powerful. It really does not let you off the hook about keeping your growth mindset open to have that purpose, fuel your growth mindset, and then reset, retrain, reprogram your way of thinking and the way you talk to yourself about the present focus of achieving that goal.
Yeah. So summarizing the decide, we have growth mindset.
Yep.
And then we have
purpose. And then we have present focus.
Present focus.
And any one of those 3 doesn't get done, then all of a sudden we're stumbling right out of the blocks. If you start with a fixed mindset, you can't have a purpose, fuel, or growth mindset. If you don't have a purpose, you're not fueling your growth mindset. If you're not in the I am zone, you're not being faithful and truthful to your purpose. I mean, that's the discipline required. And it's very easy to see where you're stumbling or feel as though you're not comfortable, and then you can reacquaint yourself and get better at it. So it's a very strong, proven formula.
So the second part of decide, commit, become is commit.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
So decide is all about the mindset. Commit is where the habit set starts to occur. This is where, as humans as we are, have a hardest time developing new habits. That's just the hard effort involved. And the beauty of effort is it's for free. And I encourage people, when you're developing new habits, you're going to need effort. But effort is for free. You can grab as much as you want. I call it the effort bank. Go in and get it.
Yep.
So there's 3 segments to this, what I call habit set. Thus, commit. If you're going to commit to something, I think the word commit, and I've seen and I've saw, and you have too, that commit is a very loosely used term out there. I'm committed. We're committed. And they don't really have a definition of what that means. What I have seen, what we have proven, is that when you have a definition and 3 elements that are defined about commit, and you accomplish these, you're achieving your goals. So the 3 elements are this. Number 1 of commit is to have strategies. Number 2, to commit, is to have actions that back your strategies. And number 3 is to have a persistence factor that keeps you in when you get tired, distracted, and something comes along and wants to bump you off the road in terms of your journey of staying to your actions and strategies. Let me give you an example. The commit is towards achieving a goal. So our goal that you and I are going to achieve is we're going to climb Mount Everest in 10 days, me and you, okay? The strategy, that's the bold goal. That's the decide. Open mind, purpose, I am climbing Mount Everest with Mitch in the next 10 days. Okay? The commit is the strategy that backs that, the actions, and the persistence. So the strategy to climb Mount Everest in 10 days, real simply, is we are hitting 9 base camps the next 10 days. That's the strategy. We are hiking to 9 base camps in the next 10 days. The actions are every day or hiking 8 to 10 hours a day with proper nutrition and proper oxygen for each base camp. That's the daily actions. The persistence triggers are something that triggers you to back in it when you're tired, when you're on the hike, halfway through it, 4 hours or 5 hours up, you get tired, you get exhausted. What's the persistence that gets you back in with that growth mindset you initially committed upon, that purpose and that I am mentality? So get that persistence trigger up and running to back those actions. And that's what we have found, is that when people have goals, we talk about the decide, when people start to set up the commit, whoa boy, I need a strategy. Then I need actions on a daily basis in my calendar to back the strategy. Then I need a persistence trigger to back into in case distractions do come my way. Yes. And when you do that, things get done. But again, it's the discipline required to create new habits. And that's what we're doing. Strategy to achieve the goal, actions, persistence.
And you're taking a moment to size up the mountain. You're using Mount Everest as a metaphor.
Exactly.
But what we're speaking to is, we're going to have a goal, or some of our goals that are going to be bold. Not every goal
is a Mount Everest goal,
but at least one will. So when we get that Mount Everest goal for a financial wholesaler, that might be what? What might be a Mount Everest goal for a typical financial wholesaler?
Double my production from last year.
That's a big,
bold
hairy
goal.
Yeah, that's Jim Collins' big, hairy, audacious goal.
Let's
right?
go. Yes.
That's it. So now they're got to go. That's wishful thinking.
That's the goal.
And it's wishful thinking in a way. It's still a cloud until they pull it down into some steps of committing. So now we need to go, okay, let's size that up into strategy. Let's move that into action. And then let's have some pieces over here that talk about how am I going to persist through that. So you're getting at, how do I pull that down now and begin to walk it out? What does that look like for that doubling your book of business and some strategies?
Take the number, divide it by 12. The strategy is I raise X amount of money each month. The action is I raise X amount of money each week to fulfill that monthly strategy. And that's what I'm raising every week. And that's going to require in my calendar for me to have the appropriate meetings with the appropriate people by your scheduling work and all the others, to have very strong appointments to get that money in. And the persistence is, boy, I'm tired after 2 weeks. This has been a lot of work. Persistence says, no, this is where we want to be. We have a chance to double our production. Get back to your daily actions that you set in your calendar, that you are accountable in the I am mentality and your purpose and your growth mindset. See, it all comes together.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden your actions are lit up again. You're back on your actions to make sure that you have your daily actions fulfill your weekly production to get your monthly production. And you keep on making sure that you're on target. And all of a sudden, before you know it, a lot of hard work gets you to where you want to go.
Yeah, it is hard work. It's not easy work, right? And that's why we're saying those who emerge to becoming beyond average, to becoming the best, are doing things that the average aren't doing.
They have the excitement to step out of their comfort zone, to set up this inherent growth mindset, purpose, and present focus, to put a strategy in place like no other, and actions in their calendar like no other, and have a persistence factor they can't fool themselves with.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the key. Majority of the time that people don't achieve their goals is that I can share with you, they don't have a strategy backed up by actions. Bottom line.
Yeah.
They just commit, I'm going to do this. Well, what's your strategy? So it takes a little thought.
It takes a lot of thought. And I think it takes a lot of ownership, because we all have been around people. And to be honest, I've been this person on both sides of the fence, where I know when I'm stating a big goal, but I really have no intention of fulfilling it.
Right.
I'm not in a place where I've centered myself. Maybe I'm speaking out a big Mount Everest goal because I think this is what everyone wants me to do.
Right.
And I know when I'm in that spot. Only we can really know that. But then there are those, including ourselves, when we know, okay, I'm sizing this one up and I've done the work. And it hasn't been easy, it hasn't been fast, but there's a really good chance I know he or she is going to reach that goal because I've seen the work they've done to do it. And it's the process of getting out from what people are saying to us and really looking inside to go, is this something I really want? Because the minute we put a Mount Everest goal out there and I say, this is what I want, I'm now exposed to the scrutiny of all the voices to judge it. Because if it's defined really well, I'm going to know if I got there or not. There's no gray area. You either got there or you didn't. And the minute I define that, I'm now at risk of failing, which puts me in a vulnerable spot. But if I've done work to cultivate my purpose, I've done work to have a growth mindset, and I don't really care about what all the voices are saying, then I'm willing to have the courage to risk. And even if I don't get there, chances are I'm going to exceed my goal from the previous year anyway, and a lot of those who I'm running with. Is that something you've experienced?
You defined it so well. Yes, I've experienced it that way. But in our business as a financial wholesaler, we're in charge of our own franchise. No one else is. So we have the choice to make a decision that will change our career. And the choice to make a decision to change your career is for free. It's just a matter of decide and commit.
Yep.
And if you have the decision to go after, decide and commit with an authority and an ownership, and think it out and walk it through, you will get closer and or exceed your goal than you've ever thought. Then you're willing to do what we call become, which is decide, commit, become.
Yep.
So become is actually enjoying the result set from the work you put in, decide, and commit. It's the result set. And let me tell you how powerful it is about becoming. When you become your goal, I've achieved it. I'm here. I've never thought I'd be here. You have participated in small successes, if not big successes, along the way in the journey of your work, day in and day out to fulfill your strategy. You've enjoyed those successes. Now you're fulfilled in your heart, your purpose, you're fulfilled. It's an incredible feeling. And those out there, they've been fulfilled in many levels in our business.
Right.
I know you have. So they know what that feeling is. And when you get successes that fulfill you, guess what you do? You say to yourself, I want to do this again. But don't rinse and repeat. Don't rinse and repeat. Rinse and evolve. Think bigger. Because again, as I mentioned earlier, is that we manage our own franchise. It's our decision on where we want to go with it. Rinse and evolve and get bigger. So the become is about enjoying those successes, becoming fulfilled. Take this decide and commit elements, 3 in each, replay them at a higher level for a larger, bolder goal.
Yep.
And enjoy the journey and obviously what you've accomplished. Because guess what? You've accomplished it. They didn't help you.
Yeah. And I think with that, I love taking a moment to celebrate. It's so often we, especially in the sales world and the financial industry and the role as a financial wholesaler, the drive is to perform. The numbers are daily, weekly, quarterly. I mean, we are driven by metrics that are really big and they're demanding on us. But to have these moments where we can stop, pull back, count what we've achieved, celebrate that, high five your team, give some love to the people who deserve the love. And give yourself
support
some love.
System, yeah.
Pull in and just go, man, this is amazing. Because we often don't give ourselves the credit. Yeah. And so then we move right on from success to success, and we don't have these valley moments where we kind of withdraw and we retreat to refresh and recharge, which I think allows us to do the work of upgrading, like you said, and evolving into bigger opportunities.
Absolutely.
Some of what I imagine is valuable in that moment of counting, not just your wins, is also taking a moment to think about some of what you might see are losses. Because the things that maybe you didn't do the way you thought they needed to be done or the way you wanted to do, if you look at those and are able to learn from them,
sure,
then those actually become gains, and you turn a loss into a gain because you learned, and the next version, you're actually stronger and you've grown from it.
And when you learn, you're just going to readjust your strategy.
Right.
Then readjust your actions to back your strategy. We have a golden rule at DCB Strategies is that don't make excuses, make adjustments. Again, it's your choice.
That's right.
Don't make excuses, make adjustments. So what you've learned, you redo your strategy for your bigger and bolder goal next time. Don't walk in and say, wow, that was a phenomenal quarter. Now I got to do it again. No, wow, that was a phenomenal quarter. Now I get to do it again, but bigger. That's the way we start retraining ourselves to think, and guess what? Bigger things happen.
Yeah. I remember my son played for a Little League, the East Reading Little League Red Sox.
There you go.
And they made it all the way to the championship and won the championship game. It was epic. He was 10 years old, played first base. It was a wild, amazing season. This group of, rugrats who've got hair and everything, their uniforms are on all crooked, and yet they showed up. And part of what I enjoyed about that season as a dad watching my son play on a championship team was everyone was committed to the same goal, the same function. I imagine that some of this work isn't just individual, but teams could really adopt this.
Yes.
National sales manager or divisional can take this on and go, hey, if we do this as a team, not only would one of our members hit this peak, but we'll look at the peak we could do together.
I just recently working with a small team, internal sales desk, which is our financial wholesalers know what that is. That's their support system.
Right.
That is their partner. An internal sales desk, what's their bold goal? How do they think about it? What's their genuine purpose as a group? And how are they talking to themselves with their partners every day, their external wholesalers? And what strategy does the team leader have for everybody? And what actions are being accountable for? And what's the fun persistence factor along the way for this team every day? And all of a sudden they start getting multiple successes, they become fulfilled, and guess what? They're ready to do something bolder next. That was easier than we thought.
That's right.
That's how that works.
Yeah.
It's such a wonderful harmony when it really is work and put together. But again, if they're stumbling along the way, it's easy to identify one of the or two of the first 6 elements we talked about, 3 in decide and 3 in commit. Which one isn't ticking? You get right back in it, realign it, up you're running.
Yeah, no, that's good. So let's break this down into a couple practical questions, maybe for the financial wholesaler listening in today. They're sitting here and they have a one-on-one with you. I'm on the other side with you right now. We're a one-on-one financial wholesaler coaching session.
Sure.
And I'm struggling. I'm overwhelmed. Maybe I'm not hitting my goals, so I'm discouraged to this point. Things have changed. The market's changed. We're all learning how to navigate kind of new norms as a result of even just coming out of COVID and how things are working. How does someone who's in that spot of being a little set back, maybe discouraged, maybe feeling lost in the crowd, how do they adjust? What are you telling them? What are you saying to them?
Good question. Thanks for asking that, because that's a legitimate day in and day out observation and reality. What I just simply asked them as a friend and as a colleague, as an advocate and a coach, of the variables you just mentioned that are causing you some angst, which ones are you in control of? So let's just disseminate, which ones we're in control of, which ones we're not. Mm-hmm. Okay, if we're in control of these, let's control them. And the things that you've mentioned to me so far, okay, of the 8 things that you wrote down and shared with me, all right, 5 of those or 4 of those you're not in control of. So of the 4 or 3 things that you can control, how do you feel about controlling those at a much higher level and really presenting yourself to achieve at a much higher level with those 3 controllables or 4 controllables, and let everything else go that you can't control? You can't control market sentiment. You can't control how many yeses and nos you get every day just by the tremendous work you do. You can't control the outcome all the time. You can't control how your internal partner feels. You can't control the atmosphere of traveling. You can't control leadership pushing on you for different things. But you can control what you can control. So we define that. That seems to be the initial sense of, I never thought of it that way. And it's easy. It's too easy to think about. But when you do, and you write it down, then you say, how am I going to get better at the things I control? And when they do, oh my gosh, their world changes in a way that now I'm in control.
Yeah.
Versus the things that they brought to the table, they feel as though they're overwhelmed with. Yeah. So that's the first thing we talk about. And it unleashes a sense of freedom for them to exercise more discipline about the things they control.
Yeah. No, it's really good. Just getting them to stop for a minute and just evaluate, what do I have control over? And what do I not have? And sometimes we just need someone to remind us to do that, because we don't do that enough for ourselves.
Guess what? If you're one of the top performers of your firm, you're one of the best wholesalers in the business, you have one of the best partnerships with your internal partner in internal sales desk, you're doing all the work to do all that, all the uncontrollables don't matter.
Right.
It just you're working on what you can control. That's what's required.
Yeah.
And that's what this is all about: decide, commit, become. You decide, you control your own bold goal, and you're committed to your own strategy and actions, and along with the other things, you're in control.
Yep. In your experience, how many the financial wholesalers, going all the way back to when you were just learning, the craft and the teams that you were a part of, to now with the clients you're working with, how many are engaged in the work of this type of decide, commit, become, whether they're using these actual names, but they have this framework that they've come to adopt. They've integrated into their philosophy of life. What would you say is the percentage, or how many choose into that versus those that don't?
Yeah, off the top of my head, from my experience of working with the wonderful people I've had the privilege of learning from and working with, and also the clients I'm working with and so forth, I would say intuitively they all have their own, what I call, again, mind map of performance. Okay, similar to what DCB Strategies is all about: decide, commit, become. We're giving you a mind map that works, rewiring your set. They have an intuitive mind map that keeps them on a strong journey towards achieving higher than they ever thought. And they have no exception of the rules. They just go. I would share with you probably 5 to 10% at the most have this insatiable desire controlled by this rewired mind map that's inherently that makes them have different habits to have different results than everyone else.
Right.
Yeah, it's 5 to 10%.
It's so interesting. It's fascinating.
The comfort zone really rules everyone.
Yeah.
If you allow it to do so.
Right.
And therefore, the controllable variable is to get out of that when it comes to bold goals, your career or personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. There's a funny, not really funny, but it's an interesting law out there. So we know Murphy's Law is whatever can go wrong will go wrong. There's another one called Parkinson's Law. And it's basically defined this way, but it says that that time will expand into the amount of time you allot for the activity that it needs to be completed in. So the specificity in setting goals I've found to be helpful if we're financial wholesalers trying to set goals that are big, breaking them down into a point where they do get specific at some point, which is why I love the I am language that you present, because I am gets really specific. It's not out there, it's right here, right now. But, if I have given myself a day to clean my garage, which right now I probably need to give my garage a week to clean, but let's just say I gave it a day. Parkinson's law would say, how long is it going to take me to clean my garage? Well, it's going to take me all day. But if I say on Friday night before Saturday, hey, I'm going to clean my garage tomorrow and I'm going to get it done by 11 a.m., then how long is it going to take me to clean my garage?
Till 11 a.m.
Till 11 a.m. And so I think there's a part of this too where we're starting big, we're bringing it in, but then it's also moving it into small bites that we can actually see become wins that build momentum. Today's big thing is going to feel small tomorrow. And today's small thing was big yesterday. And so there's this sense of momentum that we build as we kind of bring it home and define it more specifically.
Exactly. And that's in, like the Mount Everest example we talked about earlier. You have 10 days to get to 9 base camps. Well, let's just take 1 base camp per day as the step. And once you do that per day for 10 days, you are done. You completed it. And what it also allows you to do inherently, it's important when you bring it out to small segments, strategy, actions, okay? It allows complete focus on those daily actions. And when you have complete focus on those daily actions, your energy level is through the roof. Mm-hmm. When you focus, your energy level is high, okay? And when you need more energy, you take a break. But the point is, it aligns focus with those specific segments to get where you need to get.
Well, thanks, Darren, for being with us today. I love these ideas that you're presenting to us. It's clear that they've come from your journey of working this out. But today, decide, commit, become. Great anchoring words and a framework for us to do that work in our lives, to move an idea and a goal into actual action that we're actually accomplishing and becoming in our lives. Thank you. The Financial Wholesaler Podcast is sponsored by Executive Scheduling Associates. If you're looking for appointment setting services, visit our website at esasolutions.com.